Good morning, children. Today will be a review of Carrie Fisher's Postcards from the Edge, which gives a very nuanced look into Hollywood and its glitz and its glam and its drug addiction. Ooh. As we all know, Carrie Fisher is a goddess and deserves all of our respect in every single way. R.I.P. I love you so much. I had recently read her biographies. By recently, I mean like 2 years ago. I had read her biographies. Absolutely loved them. She has such a fun and quirky way of writing. I was way excited to finally read some fiction, which still seems a bit autobiographical, especially if you have read her memoirs. Carrie Fisher writes about a Hollywood actress, Suzanne Vale, and the random occurrences in her life. I also gave this a 5-star review, but I'm cheating a little on it, so we're gonna have to go into that. So first star is for plot, which there is no plot. Not really, not like an overarching thing or anything like that. It starts off with the lead, Suzanne Vale, in rehab, getting over her drug addiction, and then it's just kind of going into her life and showing her ways of coping with her life. And that's kind of really it. Even the ending, whenever they do have an ending, is very open-ended. There is not a real ending. For most other things, I would say that would take off a star, but for me it kind of added to one, because it is often compared that in her Hollywood lifestyle, she is consistently in movies and series and all of this stuff where everything does have a consistent storyline and an overarching plot and a purpose, as opposed to her life, which kind of doesn't, and she is trying to find meaning in that. With that, I think that adds a lot of depth to the character, and I think it adds a lot of depth to the story itself. So with that, that definitely gets a star. If you guys don't know, my 5-star system goes, 1 star goes to plot, 1 to importance, 1 to emotion, and then 2 for character. 2nd star goes to importance. I do think this is very important, even though it caters to a very specific crowd. I'm not saying that other people can't relate to it in other ways, which is something I'm going to be getting to later. It's able to show the backstage, all of the glitz and glam of Hollywood, and especially the problems that come with the fame and all of the pressures that you have in that lifestyle. I know that a lot of things have done this take before, especially a show that I really love right now, BoJack Horseman. Actually, this reminded me a lot of that. This one was written in the 80s, so during the time its importance was way up there because no one had really talked about it before. So of course Carrie Fisher, being the wonderful woman she is able to tell things based off of her own experiences mixed with other people. It's semi-autobiographical, but still purely fiction. So the next 2 stars are for character. And that one I think definitely earned both of its, since Carrie Fisher had so much in common with the lead. The writing on her really pops. I really like it whenever they go to other characters as well. Most importantly, a man that she was in rehab with named Alex. It switches to his perspective every now and then, and it is a mess. It's basically a stream of consciousness writing, but he is constantly either on crack or coming down from it. And it is just excellent because you have all of that mixed with paranoia and anxiety. And this was a beautiful mess train I loved following, even though I knew it was definitely gonna crash. Every other character also had a lot of life breathed into them. They're all very realistically written. They're all very unique in their own ways. The different guys that she dates all have different stories to them. The lead is incredibly dynamic, and with a very realistic background cast, everything was excellent, so that does earn both of its stars. Now, the star I saved to talk about last was emotion. Honestly, this is one that most people wouldn't see a lot of emotion in, because a lot of things are just written for laughs, and whenever it does touch into the depressive, anxiety-ridden character traits of the lead, it's still played off as self-deprecating, which is a very Carrie Fisher thing to do. She does that for her own mental illness as well in her memoirs. So a lot of people would see it as more of a comedy than anything. So this is something I would normally take a star off for, but I'm kind of gonna keep it. I'm way biased with whenever it comes to Carrie Fisher, because the way her self-deprecating humor is, and the way her thoughts are on things, the way her depression works, and the way her just her emotions work exactly panders to me, because so many times have I read a passage and it's something that I have felt exactly like that and have never quite had the words for. So this one was incredibly personal to me, mainly because it was so relatable. So I'm gonna keep that star, because even though it didn't really have an emotion to it, like a heart, it did for me. Like, even the comedy, though it was great, didn't really make me laugh out loud. It was more of a dry humor, which I still really like. But all of it just pandered to me in a very specific way. Postcards from the Edge, I definitely recommend it. It's a very fun and messed up romp that you're going to be so happy you got onto, and about Hollywood life and the struggles going through stuff while following an excellent character, learning a lot about drugs too. I thought it was very good. Plotless or no, I think it is very important. So Postcards from the Edge, if you haven't read it yet, do it. With that, I will see you guys again in my next video. Later, taters. Darling. Good morning, darlings. Darling. Darling.